This is going to sound pretty crazy, but when I see the price drop, double-digit percentages, I get excited. I do not worry. Again, it's because we have those, kind of long-term outlook that I think is pretty bullish.
So we are seeing some volatility back in the cryptocurrency space, but is it a time for risk or for opportunity? Well, Anthony Pompliano, co-founder of Morgan Creek Digital, joins me on the line now to discuss. If you are a fan of blockchain and crypto news, be sure to hit that subscribe button to make sure you don't miss out. Anthony, great to talk to you again.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Welcome back. So I wanted to catch up and just chat about what we've seen in the markets recently. So last time we spoke, you did have a price prediction by the end of 2021. We would see when Bitcoin hit 100,000 US dollars. Now we have seen a recent price dip in Bitcoin, and I want to ask you if that has altered your price prediction in any way.
No, again, I think that, I really look at the macro trends, so kind of these bear and bull markets. And so the short-term price movements really have no effect, and usually I don't even look at them, to be honest. So nothing's changed on my end.
Okay, awesome. And now I do want to say that looking at what we've seen this week, we have seen backed futures went live this week. And it started off, if we look back throughout the year, on May the 13th, we did see that there was a CME Futures daily trading high of 1.3 billion. Were we surprised at the amount of volume that we saw coming out from backed this week?
I think that there was surprise in the market because there was unrealistic expectations, right? So if you kind of set the wrong expectations, then you get the surprise. But if you think of some of these institutional products, most people already have access to exposure to Bitcoin. So if you want to get access to Bitcoin, whether it's through futures products or direct access, you've got avenues to do that. So I don't think there's a ton of people sitting on the sidelines waiting to buy with the release of a new product. That's first of all. Second of all, is anytime you get a regulated product like Backed has, it's going to take some time for people to sign up, get accounts, and start using it. And so the kind of 1 day, 7 day, or even the first month worth of volume isn't nearly as important as 12 months from now. What does that volume look like, and how sustainable is it?
Now, if we look recently, around a month ago, you were on CNBC talking about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies as a whole. Now, you did get quite a grilling from Kevin O'Leary, who did say that he was quite opinionated about the fact that you've got 50% of your net worth in Bitcoin. If we look at digital assets and the industry as a whole, how important do you think it is for people to hold or accumulate some Bitcoin in their lifetime?
Yeah, I mean, look, obviously I don't do any kind of financial advice or anything, but the way that I think about it or talk about it is anytime you can get a non-correlated asset like Bitcoin is and put it into a portfolio, modern portfolio theory would suggest that you're able to have a positive impact on that portfolio. You can have risk reduction, you can increase returns, etc. So I think all of that is a positive sign. And then the second thing that's important to understand here, right, is there's a lot of people like myself who I don't look at this as a speculative asset. I don't look at it as an investment. I actually look at there's two financial systems. There's the fiat over-leveraged system that has an inflationary monetary supply. And then you have the deflationary kind of digital financial system. So there's two alternatives. I have some of my wealth in both systems, right? So I kind of hedging. And I'm participating in both systems, but I don't look at it as, hey, I made an investment into a single asset and I'm going to plan to sell it later. Instead, I look at it as I'm participating in both systems. And over time, I'll adjust those percentages based on what I think the outlook for each one of those systems looks like.
When you look at your asset portfolio now, when we look at Bitcoin specifically, is it the kind of thing that you would ever sell? Would you ever sell all of your Bitcoin? Or is it something you think that you would always accumulate some of?
I have no plans to sell anything.
And now if we look at the calendar coming up, the next big event we have got is May 2020, the Bitcoin Halving. What are we expecting from now until then when it comes to Bitcoin price and also gaining some momentum and some excitement in the market?
Yeah, I actually think that no excitement is good news. So kind of this boring consolidation, let's call it between $8,000 and $12,000 price point in U.S. dollar value is positive. Having some stability is good. And going into that halving, I think that, let's have the excitement after the halving. But any of the, possible excitement that could occur between now and then are things that I think are probably external forces, whether they're positive or negative. And so for crypto markets that are highly volatile, having some boring consolidation in a certain price range, I think is just fine and something that I'm expecting to occur between now and then.
Calm and steady, and it also shows a sign of maturity in the markets almost. Now, if we look at the next time that we're planning on speaking, Anthony, it will be during the AIBC Summit in November, where you're going to be joining me on the line live, and some of our audience can hear in that conversation. What are you expecting from now until then? Because we have seen a pretty volatile week in the markets. Are you still optimistic? Are you still expecting, as you've said, the future's bright and Bitcoin still king?
Look, the market is the ultimate decider, and the market has decided that Bitcoin is the most valuable digital asset. It continues to have very high levels of hash rate, near all-time highs. Transactions are near all-time highs. And so I think that when you look at the fundamentals that are around the network, things are very optimistic. And so when you get an overlay of those optimistic fundamentals with a steady or stable price within a certain band, again, I think that's exactly what you want to see going into the halving, and especially through the rest of this year.
And are we seeing, because we have been watching and following you, and you have had a strong crypto presence for several years now, are we seeing now that we're coming to the end of 2019 that we have reached a certain level of maturity in the market?
Yeah, I don't know if you could say that the market is mature yet. I think that the market has definitely matured, right? So it's kind of a thing where looking back 3 years ago, Bitcoin and the crypto market is much more mature than it was then. But if you look kind of forward to the level of maturation that I think it can reach, we're still early, right? And I think that there's going to be kind of a 10 to 20 year time horizon here till a lot of this stuff comes to fruition, and kind of a lot of the promises of blockchain technology and cryptocurrencies are realized. So again, it's, you want to understand where you are in the cycle, and be enthusiastic about the progress that's been made previously, but also be realistic about the work that's ahead.
Awesome. And now just finally, so I did put a tweet out earlier which was asking if anyone had any sleepless nights during the recent price dip in crypto movement. And I want to ask you, were you relaxed during the recent days and the recent price movement, or were you staying very calm?
This is going to sound pretty crazy, but when I see the price drop, double-digit percentages, I get excited. I do not worry. Again, it's because we have those, kind of long-term outlook that I think is pretty bullish. And so I actually, I tweeted it out. I bought more Bitcoin. And so I think that when you see these price drawdowns, for me personally, my evaluation is nothing has changed about my long-term outlook. And so the short-term price movements in a downward manner are opportunities and less about something to be worried about, in my opinion.
So you've got a smile on. Anthony, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to hear some of your insights, and I look forward to talking to you during the summit as well. Thank you for your time today.
Absolutely. Thanks so much. I'm excited to do it.
Thank you. Well, that's all for myself and Anthony Pompliano. We'd love to hear how you found this segment. Share your thoughts with us on YouTube, and see you in November.